Hello everyone and welcome back guys to episode 12, I want to say, of Jamie and I's The Unnamed Motorsport podcast. Yes, we're back a day late today. Unfortunately, Jamie has decided to live life at the fullest recently and actually is going out and doing things, which has made sitting at our desk and talking about Formula 1 a lot more difficult. But first of all, before we dive into it, Jamie, how are you getting on, buddy?
I'm good, yeah. I actually
You good?
managed to avoid watching the race at the weekend, so it was pretty good,
Yeah,
obviously.
This is going to be interesting, I think. Today's the podcast normally goes completely off the rails. This one is going to be a whole new level of off the rails.
It won't ever be
for
on
you
the
guys.
rails.
No, it never found the tracks in the first place. It's just all off the rails here today. But I mean, we're both pretty hyped tonight. I mean, by the time this video goes out, we're probably going to be very, very depressed. But of course, England playing Germany tonight. Jamie, let's get your prediction in before, so we both look stupid when this video goes live.
I've been sticking to a 0-0 and we win on penalties.
You're a moron. I'm going to say 2-0 England.
Well, you're even worse than me.
Yeah, I know. This is going to come back to bite me so hard, but I'm so ready. I was right about France. That's what I keep telling myself. I was right about the French Grand Prix.
Oh, you mean, I thought you meant the France result yesterday.
Oh no, I never guessed that. There's no way I'm going to guess Switzerland to get any past anyone this tournament. Yeah. Never mind 3 now. But yeah, I mean, let's talk about what we're meant to today then. We've got an Austrian Grand Prix to review. We've sort of spoke about it, like we said. Jamie didn't get to watch the full race. Lucky him. Yeah. That was an hour and a half of his life. He managed to get back over me not watching the Monaco Grand Prix earlier on this year as well there. But we've sort of decided, to be honest, the race itself, there are still a few talking points to discuss. But Styrian Grand Prix was one of those ones where a lot more of it is sort of like outside of the race itself that probably wants to be discussed here today as well. So we'll do a very, very quick rundown of the Grand Prix. Red Bull, Max Verstappen, bagged pole position. Did you watch qualifying?
I watched the end of it, so I got Q3.
You watched Q3, fair enough. So obviously Red Bull, Max Verstappen got pole position. He looked comfortable all qualifying session. Was pretty much fastest when he needed to be everywhere. Pole by quarter of a second over Lewis Hamilton, which wasn't the biggest margin in the world, but again, Austria's a very, very short track. Other notable results, obviously Hamilton P2. Bottas would have actually been P2 had he not managed to pick himself up a penalty for Tokyo drifting down the pit lane in practice. What was your thoughts on that penalty?
I think it's fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't really care if the team told him to try a different burnout or something. He shouldn't be drifting and spinning in the pit lane. Especially
it made me laugh because I saw people on Twitter going, yeah, but he shouldn't, second gear gives you more wheel spin.
We're going first.
In what world? No, it doesn't make
anyway,
sense. Yeah. If you mash your foot to the floor, you get wheel spin.
Yeah.
Because he was in second gear, really, that should be reduced.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Obviously,
I don't.
People on Twitter are getting engineering degrees overnight again.
Apparently, yeah, it's crazy. But who knows what that was all about when all was said and done there. So yeah, like we said, obviously Verstappen on pole, Hamilton P2 on the grid, technically qualified P3. George Russell, 11th place there, absolutely smashed it. 8 thousandths of a second. Yep, started 10th because of Tsunoda's penalty. 8 thousandths of a second off his first Q3 appearance in that Williams would have been an absolute worldie of a session done by him. Other notable results?
Norris third. That was
Norris. Yeah, Norris
my
ended up P3. That was good.
Were just for qualifying, so I got it.
Yeah,
I got
just
it
for qualifying, were they? Yep. Did I get the race bang on? Did I?
I believe you probably you put Hamilton first. I think.
Did I put Hamilton first? Probably. There's still a small part of me that keeps on believing at this stage of the year, of course. We have Raikkonen down in P18, wasn't a particularly good job done by him, and then of course the Haskars at the rear of the field as well, of course. But yeah, we get into the Grand Prix then. Charles Leclerc. Jamie, talk us through it.
I mean, all I've seen is the race highlights, so from what I can tell, he just drove into the back of Gasly on the exit of turn 3, which is a bit annoying as a Gasly.
No, exit turn 1.
Exit turn 1, sorry.
Turn 1.
And then about 5 cars hit Gasly on the run-up to turn 3.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, his car was a little bit abused on the way up.
Yeah, Gasly, obviously, I mean, they went side by side with Alonso through turn 1, didn't they? 3 of them, obviously 3 wide, which is never brilliant. Austria, not the tightest track in the world, but turn 1 can be a bit horrible. even going 2 wide, never mind 3. So obviously, yeah, Alonso squeezed them both out. I don't think he really knew Charles Leclerc was there. So obviously Leclerc joined the track just behind him, doesn't get the run off, tries to tug into the slipstream, completely destroys Pierre Gasly's rear tyre there. I mean, they had contact onto the way into the corner as well, didn't they? But obviously, yeah, Leclerc just drives into the back of him on the exit, so not too sure of what that was all about when all is said and done. So obviously that means Gasly's instantly got a puncture heading up towards turn 3. You think there could be some carnage here. Bless him, tried his hardest to avoid anyone, but I think clipped Latifi and Giovinazzi, I want to say.
Giovinazzi definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
and he
clipped Latifi as well, I think. Yeah, so Giovinazzi went round. Obviously, Gasly did manage to limp back to the pit lane. The rear suspension was destroyed. I actually thought originally that he picked up suspension damage from the first contact with Leclerc, but obviously that wasn't the case. It was just obviously driving back too quickly on a destroyed tyre, as well didn't help him, didn't do him any favours there. Like we saw with Leclerc back at Monaco 2019, wasn't it? Where he destroyed the rear end of the Ferrari there. But yes, obviously Gasly's race was done and dusted. Leclerc, after lap 1, they had a couple of other questionable moments. I think the biggest question anyone had is, what was Michael Massey doing?
Yeah, I don't. How is it not a penalty? I do not know.
No,
I get that
it was ridiculous.
They are usually more lenient with lap 1 stuff, but still, he drove into
there's
the back
lenient,
of his tyre.
and then there's exactly. There's got to be an element of lenience, but that was too lenient. Let's be real.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's be real. And then, of course, trying to think. Lap 1, what else happened? George Russell stuck his way into P8. That's what I was trying to remember. Obviously, had a really good start there. And really then, throughout the first stint of the Grand Prix, that's what we were watching out for. What George Russell was going to be able to do. We get to the pit stop window. He was right there. Yeah. He was hanging on in. Whether that was helped a bit by DRS or not really too sure. But he was doing a good job. He certainly felt like he belonged.
Well, at that stage, it was helped by them not running any cooling on the car.
Yes, that was unfortunately the big help for Williams. So you get to the pit stop window. Williams take a long time with the pit stop. Now, luckily at the time, we saw, I think it was Hulkenberg back in 2017 Singapore, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is always the one I remember there. Mainly for happy memories of Jolyon Palmer whipping out the goods at the right time in the right place. Yeah, I know you weren't. But yeah, obviously we saw Hulkenberg there have to put more... Is it pneumatic pressure, I want to say?
Yeah, there was like a plug in the side pod that basically just filled up the hydraulics because there was a problem.
Exactly. It is not a common thing to happen in Formula 1, but they are prepared for it, aren't they?
Yeah,
at every Grand Prix. It is designed to be done. Exactly. So obviously we see that with George Russell there. Instantly he's then back at the rear of the field. It's clear that what the team have done is not working, and he has to retire the car like 2 laps later.
I've never actually seen it work, because I think Grosjean had something similar when he was driving for Lotus in Singapore as well, like 2 years before Hulkenberg. And he also retired 2 laps later, the same as Hulkenberg. So like, This tactic never actually works, but I guess
I'm trying to think. I feel like I've seen it somewhere more recently where it did work, though.
I've not seen it in F1. It might be in some other series, but
yeah. I don't know for sure, to be honest. Yeah, but it's not a great track record either way. It's very much, I think, like a last-ditch attempt by teams, isn't it? As well, there, of course. But yeah, so obviously, George Russell. There's many tears, a lot of them coming from me. I'll be honest. About that. Whilst all this is going on, we're slowly just sort of seeing Max Verstappen build up a margin at the front of the field. Just sort of like slowly pulling. Hamilton said pre-qualifying, I want to say, but even back in free practice, that Red Bull were gaining 1/4 of a second a lap down the straights and Mercedes just weren't taking it back out of them through the corners. Yeah, I mean... What can you do? Red Bull just have a slightly better package at the moment. Are you an acceptance of that at this stage of the year?
It depends on the track, but I think at Austria it's impossible to deny that Red Bull had the fastest car.
I'm intrigued. What track do you think Mercedes are quicker than? If Red Bull are quicker down the straights and not slower through the corners,
they should have won.
Should they have won France?
Yeah.
Should they have won France? In what way should they have won France?
Hamilton in the same lap as Verstappen, and he leads and then just wins.
How would he lead if he brought him in the same lap as Verstappen?
Because he was leading the first stop.
Hey?
The
first pit stop. So I thought you meant when Verstappen pit again.
No.
Yeah, sorry, now I understand you.
They would have won that race if they were intelligent. And tracks like Portimao and Spain, they were definitely quicker the whole weekend.
Are you suggesting as well, then, that Verstappen wouldn't have pit again anyway and got past him?
He would have pit again, but it would have
because Hamilton's tyres would have been worse.
Well, he wouldn't. No, they would have been better because he wasn't running right behind Verstappen for the first 10 laps of the stint, was he? They should have won France. If they'd have just pit the same, like the lap after Bottas, same lap as Verstappen.
I understand what you're saying. I think should have won France is wrong. Could have won France, I think, is the more important thing. But even there, we saw Red Bull were pulling their way down the straight.
If you have track position a lap into the race at France, you should be winning. I don't care how fast the cars are.
Yeah, but France this year was weird, wasn't it? Just accept France happened and it wasn't France, so we don't know what we watched. Was
definitely faster. I still find it very funny that Mercedes are accusing Red Bull of having a legal engine now, when like it's been 2 races where Red Bull have been good, and they're just running really low wings, but the downforce, like the ground effects and everything, is making up for it because Red Bull make a ridiculously good car every year in terms of aerodynamics. So
Adrian Newey is a wizard.
They take some wing off, straight and then they go really quick on the straights, and they're still good through the corners.
Exactly.
That they've made a better car than you. Don't stop complaining.
It's that fine balance, isn't it? Unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately. I mean, it's made it certainly interesting so far this year, but 4 wins in a row. I wouldn't say the writing's on the wall yet, because I mean, you look at it. If Hamilton hadn't have messed up Baku, he'd still have what? At least be tied with Max, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Definitely.
He might be 7 ahead still, but he'd at least be tied with Max at this stage of the year, which obviously would make things very, very interesting heading in towards the Austrian Grand Prix next weekend.
You could have at least had 3 more races at Monaco.
Yeah, probably. Again, I didn't watch Monaco, so Monaco's always a bit difficult to say that, though, isn't it? Because you never know what might happen as well, of course. But yeah, whilst we're sort of seeing Max Verstappen romp away, though, the only other real thing that happened was Charles Leclerc made the race a bit interesting by crashing into Kimi Räikkönen and being the only man apparently making overtakes, which was good enough to warrant driver of the day.
Yeah.
From 7th to 7th. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz, his teammate... Exactly. Carlos Sainz, his teammate, went 12th to 6th.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Sainz, actually. He did really well.
Everyone forgot about Sainz. You can say what you like about Sainz's social media antics, or his dad's social media antics as well at the end of the day. Carlos Sainz has never won a driver of the day vote, believe it or not.
That's probably true for a lot of drivers. It basically goes to either the winner or Verstappen.
I'd say quite a lot of them have had at least one.
I doubt it.
Let me have a look. You keep talking then.
Okay. Well, from what I saw, Leclerc was the only one to do anything. I think the real problem was because everyone was so close in pace. All the cars in the midfield were like within 0.2 of a second or so. It's so hard to follow and overtake that there just was nothing going on. So yeah, I don't know. Potentially, obviously, dirt. Yeah, it's a long and forgotten thing. So we've gone over that enough, and plenty of F1 creators have gone over it enough to. Yeah, we know it's bad. So hopefully the 2022 regulations sort us out. Have you found any research yet on Driver of the Day?
I can't believe there's not a Reddit post for this. I'll be honest.
Well,
I can find all the 2021 results. I'm tempted to, honestly, now.
Well, that's probably a story for another day.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, really, apart from that, there wasn't a lot else going on, actually, within the Grand Prix. Obviously, Verstappen won the race. I'll give you guys a quick run down the order. Verstappen, of course, won the race, 35 seconds ahead of Hamilton. Obviously, Hamilton pit for fastest lap at the end, so we obviously know why that was the case. Bottas P3, just half a second ahead of Perez. That was almost a good battle at the end, but unfortunately nothing happened of it, so we're all going to forget about that. Lando Norris, again, another very good result for him, another 5th place. He's smashing out the park this year. Carlos Sainz, like we said, a very underrated performance there in P6. Head of Charles Leclerc, 7th to 7th, with some carnage in the middle. Stroll, 8th, Alonso, 9th, and Yuki Tsunoda rounding out the top 10 there. So another point on the board for Yuki, I felt like, went a little bit under the radar as well.
Yeah, a little bit. Although he was basically just driving behind Alonso the whole time, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah. Then, of course, we get down to Raikkonen. 18th to 11th there is probably quite a good result on paper, but he shouldn't have been 18th in qualifying, in my eyes at the very least. Vettel, again, another pretty quiet weekend from him. Of course, Seb Stan's not remembering the Styrian Grand Prix happened now, I'm sure. Ricciardo's disappointment continues. P13, really he should have been P15, and Russell and Gasly not retired, which is awful.
Yeah.
Awful in that McLaren. Yeah. What... it just doesn't make... And this is what a lot of people were saying. I think it was Brundle was saying as well, wasn't he? If Ricciardo can't find answers this weekend at the same track, things are not looking good.
No, they're not at all. And I think he signed a 2-year contract, and obviously he's still one of the most highly paid drivers in the field. I'd
His
imagine.
stock is falling rapidly.
But yes, it is. And like,
it's not great.
It's a bit dodgy. I mean, obviously it's a new car, but how long can you use that excuse for? I don't really know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and
he's got to be there's still a decent driver in there. He's just got to find himself.
Yeah, and we forget as well, Ricciardo's now been in F1 for 10 years.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that. People only sort of remember of like Red Bull, really, don't they? Of sort of like this new kid on the block, but he's been in Formula 1 for 10 years.
Yeah.
He should be able to adapt to a new Formula 1 car
and he's
quite
been around
quickly.
plenty of teams recently. Like,
exactly.
Renault took him like 3 or 4 races to adapt to.
The problem is with Danny Rick as well is he's an incredibly one-dimensional driver as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
When he's got a car that's working for him, very quick. Matched Max Verstappen in 2018, remember, even as the car was slowly geared more and more towards Max over the course of the year. But he's getting slapped by Lando Norris, who, again, don't get me wrong, is a wildly good driver, and we hear so often about how much time he's putting in the sim and things like that. But what's going on with Danny Rick? Esteban Ocon, though, P14, had a Giovinazzi, Schumacher, Latifi and Mazepin around in that. You're all there, like we said, with Russell and Gasly not making it to the end. And yet, not the most exciting Austrian Grand Prix, although I was sort of thinking back over the last couple of years. I think we've been spoiled, haven't we, in Austrian Grand Prix of recent. Obviously, last year we had Hamilton and Albon crash. A year before, obviously, we had Max and Charles crash. A year before that, we had the Mercedes implosion. We've had quite a few years where frontrunners have had action at Styria or Austria, when it might not have been, from memory, the most exciting races behind. I've just brought my chair down massively accidentally, so that's going to look awful in the video.
Well, I'm guessing so this one was actually called like Styrian Grand Prix, wasn't it? So
yes,
in terms of like Styria, in that one Grand Prix, which was the second one last year, they've both been awful.
Yeah. So. Well, yeah. No, Styria last year was a pretty snooze fest, wasn't it? As well, of course. So, yeah, guess the Styrian Grand Prix eggs. Austria this weekend is going to be a banger.
Austria's going to be well better, yeah.
Let's fingers crossed. But yeah, like we said though, a lot of the action wasn't really on track this weekend. I think a lot more of the talking points actually really came from off track, and I think the biggest things. There's 2 things I think we need to go through before we finish this off, Jamie. First of all, pit stop rule changes.
I don't think it'll make any difference at all. It's just some sensors to be like, make sure you've got your tyres on your car.
Yeah.
Like, that's a safety feature. How is that different to like the traffic lights making sure they only go off when the tyres are on and stuff like that? It's going to make very little difference. And it's not...
Exactly.
It's not Mercedes trying to slow Red Bull down, because they're still going to get sub 2 seconds. And it's just absolute clickbaiting headlines to try and get some clicks. But you know what?
Exactly.
Twitter loved it. So.
Not that we kill the hype of anything like this at all. We could have clickbaited this so well then, but apparently we're not. As well.
Truth
so yeah, obviously we had that. Exactly. And with a very down-to-earth and quite... Not boring, but... let's probably boring.
Let's move on.
Sums it up. The other thing, though, to discuss, of course, is Mercedes claiming they're bringing no more upgrades to the car this year. Until James Allison, literally an hour before we recorded this, it was a good job we recorded this today rather than yesterday, James Allison has confirmed, on the other hand, Mercedes are still bringing upgrades to the car this year.
Yeah, so obviously, it's not like Lewis Hamilton to exaggerate things to make himself look better at all, but yeah.
I think the comments he made were fair, based on what Toto Wolff was saying.
It's true, but yeah, they're clearly going to bring upgrades still. I'm quite interested to see how it plays out, obviously, but like, if they both fully go for it, then the 2022 cars might be compromised.
Yes.
So I kind of expect whichever team is losing, like about now, so you expect it to Mercedes, to be honest, would switch early, and then
I've got 2 theories. You're gonna love these.
I think I probably can guess both of them because you're a conspiracy theirist. But go ahead.
Right, give me what you think it's gonna be then.
So you're gonna say it's 2013 again, where Mercedes just focused fully on 2014, now 2022.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna say like they're gonna keep bringing sport upgrades to keep it close to lull Red Bull into going for it this year and then being bad next year.
Not quite. Close.
What?
Close.
What are they?
I'm gonna give you. Right. So I believe either Mercedes have now stopped upgrades, and James Allison is saying this sort of thing so Red Bull feel pressured into bringing more to the car. I mean, they've already said they plan to, But let's be fair, if you hear your rival team isn't bringing in more upgrades, you'd be more inclined to think they aren't, and that you should probably focus on next year as well. However, Red Bull have made it very clear they want a World Championship this year.
Yeah.
So it very much is Mercedes either accept this one's not going to be theirs and they're going to try and win the next 7 in a row again, or that Red Bull... Or, again, sorry, my second theory... Mercedes are going to have some upgrades in the works. They're going to make Red Bull believe they've got nothing more planned this year. Bring a car that's a second of that faster to Belgium.
I do hope not.
And slap them silly in the second half of the year.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but I don't think that'll happen, really.
Do you not?
I mean, they never get that much of a jump in the second half. I don't know.
2014, I'm trying to think. 2017?
That was over the winter, though, not a summer break.
We've seen Red Bull do it before, and they're on the back foot.
Yeah.
Mercedes have got more money.
You never know.
That was something as well I read this week. This definitely is conspiracy theory. I read somewhere that apparently Red Bull are routing money through Honda to test and develop the car for them, getting around the cost cap.
That's definitely conspiracy.
Why on earth do people genuinely believe that they've somehow duped the FIA like this? Like, as someone that had to extensively look into money laundering in the past, that's the weakest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's not even disguising it. It's like, right,
no,
let's get someone else to do it for us. That's such a stupid.
Exactly. It's yeah, incredible as well, of course. But yeah, anything else to add though? Yeah, that's right. Predictions, top 3 this weekend.
Oh yeah,
what you saying?
The Grand Prix, which is completely different to the Styrian Grand Prix.
Yes.
Verstappen.
Yep.
Perez, Hamilton. Why not?
Ooh. Ooh, that is spicy.
Yeah.
I am gonna say. Right. Well, I have put in my fantasy. No. I have put in my F1 fantasy team Max Verstappen now instead of Hamilton.
Good.
Make sure you go check that video out. Make sure you check that video out. So because I've said that, I'm going to go Hamilton, Perez, Bottas. I'm going to say Verstappen DNF. I'm going to say Verstappen as a failure. Yep, I'm a nutcase. Verstappen part failure this weekend. You watch it happen now. I predicted France was going to be a banger. You're not doing a podcast. Right, okay. Well, make sure then you cross your fingers so we don't see Jamie back on the channel next week. Yeah, anything else to add though, Jamie? Apart from the fact it's coming home?
It is coming home.
It's coming home.
This is getting uploaded after the game. It's going to be terrible. Well done, Germany. I hope you enjoy your victory.
Exactly, yeah. Because you got the grace and decorum of a reversing dump truck.
Yeah.
As well. But yeah, let us know obviously your thoughts and feelings down below for the Styrian Grand Prix. Obviously, like we said, I'm going to start trying to push the podcast a little bit more on like the polls and things like that on the channel, not like the Polish community or anything like that. I mean, Poles are more than welcome to watch this podcast if they want, but is there much interest in Formula 1 in Poland anymore now Kubica is gone?
Don't really know.
I can't say I've seen much of him on Twitter anymore.
Yeah, get him back in
FP1. Perhaps we'll have to make like a conspiracy theory, like about Poland's media or something like that in Formula 1 as well. That's a rabbit hole we do not need to get down into. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching nonetheless. If you are new around here, please do get yourself subscribed as well. We are agonisingly close to 15,000 subs now on the channel. I think at the time of recording this, we're like 35 away or something mad like that. We are getting really, really close at this stage. So, we're trying to hit it before F1 2021 releases as well there. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll be back next week ready to review the Austrian Grand Prix.